The full moon shone brightly over the dense forest, its shadows dancing like specters among the trees. In the heart of this forest, a figure moved silently, its silhouette oscillating between human and animal. It was Lyra, a half-human wolf whose existence was shrouded in mystery and prejudice. Lyra never knew her parents or her origins. Her first conscious awakening was on the banks of a crystal-clear stream, surrounded by absolute silence. Since then, she roamed the forest, always in search of answers to her existence. The few who caught sight of her whispered stories of fear and fascination, calling her the embodied sin for being a creature that defied natural laws. One night, while exploring a cave that had always seemed mysterious to her, Lyra found an ancient symbol engraved on the stones, a wolf and a moon intertwined. She felt an inexplicable connection with that symbol, as if it held the keys to unraveling her origin. And it was there she decided that her quest for answers should begin. She followed her instincts, knowing that the cave and the symbol were just the beginning of a journey filled with challenges and dangers, but also of self-discovery and profound revelations. Her hybrid form was not a sin, but a riddle waiting to be solved. She stood at the entrance of the cave, feeling the cold night wind on her skin, and decided she would face any obstacle to discover the truth about herself. Lyra, feeling determined to decipher the enigma of the symbol, decided to explore the cave more deeply. The darkness seemed to whisper secrets, and each step she took echoed like an ancient call. Even though she was alone, she felt the presence of something or someone guiding her. Walking further in, she found a narrow corridor covered with moss and ancient engravings. She followed the path, her eyes fixed on the stones, searching for any clue. Suddenly, her sensitive paws touched a different surface, an old piece of parchment wedged between the rocks. Lyra carefully pulled out the parchment and revealed a letter. Although the text was faded, she could read words that spoke of a red moon and a secret gathering in the depths of the forest, near an ancient tree. The letter suggested that the next red moon would occur in a few days. Without a second thought, Lyra decided she would go to the tree mentioned in the letter. However, the journey there was treacherous, with the territory dominated by creatures and hunters who did not accept her existence. As she prepared to leave, she heard a subtle but threatening noise. Behind her, shadows moved. She had been discovered and was about to face an imminent danger. The darkness of the cave seemed to come alive with the sound of the approaching shadows. Lyra, with her heightened senses, felt a cold shiver run down her spine. An ancient entity, guardian of the cave's secrets, emerged from the depths. Its forms were nebulous, a specter of ancient power, and its eyes shone with a spectral light. Lyra readied herself for the confrontation. Despite the fear gnawing at her insides, determination shone in her eyes. She knew that fleeing was not an option. She needed to face the guardian to continue her quest. The entity, shrouded in an aura of mystery, advanced with a roar that echoed off the rocky walls. Lyra dodged the attacks, using her agility to evade the specter's blows. She felt that each movement was a deadly dance between the past and the present, between mystery and truth. In a moment of desperation, Lyra remembered the stories she had heard about the ancient rituals of the Guardians. She closed her eyes and began to recite an ancestral chant that echoed in her mind, as if it were a long-lost memory. With each word, the entity hesitated, its form flickering as if it were being undone. The chant seemed to be working, but the battle was far from over. The entity launched a final, desperate attack, and Lyra, with a mix of strength and cunning, skillfully dodged, causing the entity to crash against the cave walls. An intense light filled the place, and then everything calmed down. Breathing heavily, Lyra realized that the guardian had vanished, leaving behind only a fragment of shimmering crystal. Holding the crystal, she felt a deep connection with the symbol she had found earlier. This crystal seemed to be the next piece of the puzzle. With the crystal in hand, Lyra felt her determination renewed. She knew this was only the beginning of her journey, and that many dangers still awaited her. But nothing would stop her from uncovering her origins. With the crystal as her guide, Lyra decided to set out in search of the ancient tree mentioned in the parchment. The journey there would not be easy, but her spirit was more resolute than ever. She left the cave, with the moonlight illuminating her path. The forest around her whispered ancient secrets, and the full moon gave her courage. Her journey would be solitary, as the society around her rejected her for her hybrid form. Lyra followed her instincts, feeling that each step brought her closer to the truth. The trek through the forest was treacherous. The uneven terrain and the shadows that moved at every corner did not make it easy. However, Lyra was in tune with the environment. Every rustling leaf, every breaking branch, all seemed to be part of the puzzle. On a particularly dark night, as Lyra rested at the foot of a hill, a group of hunters appeared in the distance. They whispered among themselves about the aberration they were seeking, unaware that they were just a few meters from their quarry. Lyra held her breath, her mind racing, searching for a way to escape unnoticed. The tension in the air was palpable. With each movement of the hunters, Lyra's heart beat faster. She knew she needed to be quick and silent. Then, with an agile move, she used her abilities to vanish into the shadows of the night, leaving the hunters confused and frustrated. As she escaped, Lyra heard a soft whisper in the wind, like guidance. The ancient tree was closer than she had imagined, and with each step, she felt more connected to her destiny. Despite the constant danger, Lyra's determination only grew. The journey was far from over, but Lyra continued, driven by an inner strength she didn't fully understand. The path became increasingly arduous as Lyra approached the ancient tree. The forest seemed to grow in complexity, as if testing her resolve. It was as if the trees whispered among themselves, creating a living and challenging labyrinth. One night, while resting near a stream, Lyra heard a distinct sound, different from the natural murmur of the forest. Moving silently, she approached and found an improvised camp. 3 hooded figures were discussing in low voices, their faces obscured by the flickering firelight. Lyra moved closer, hidden in the shadows, trying to understand what they were saying. The conversation revolved around the ancient tree and an old order of guardians of knowledge. They seemed to be searching for something, or someone, that could reveal long-buried secrets. One of the figures mentioned a mysterious key necessary to access the heart of the ancient tree. Lyra realized that this key might be the crystal she had found in the cave. Understanding that this information was vital, she decided that she needed to act. She waited until the figures fell asleep and then sneaked into the camp, trying to discover more. She found a rustic map and a journal with notes about the ancient tree, the red moon, and the key. As she flipped through the journal, one of the hooded figures awoke, noticing her presence. Lyra had to flee quickly, but not before grabbing the journal and the map. She knew the information contained within was crucial for her journey. Running through the forest, the sound of her pursuers echoed in her ears, but she was determined not to be captured. Tired and breathless, she found temporary refuge in a cave where she could better examine her discoveries. The journal mentioned an ancient ritual that needed to be performed at the ancient tree during the red moon. Lyra knew this was her next mission, to understand the ritual and discover her role in this mystery. Now, with more pieces of the puzzle, Lyra prepared for the decisive confrontation ahead. Her journey was far from over, but the path forward began to clear, even though it was filled with challenges and dangers. With the journal and map in hand, Lyra continued her journey through the forest. The path was increasingly tortuous, but the map provided vital guidance. She followed the landmarks described: a wolf-shaped rock, a crystal-clear waterfall, and a moonlit clearing. After days of travel, her strength was waning, but determination kept her standing. Then, on a night when the moon was brighter than ever, Lyra finally sighted the ancient tree. It was immense, with roots sprawling like tentacles across the ground and branches that seemed to touch the sky. Approaching cautiously, Lyra felt a pulsing energy emanating from the tree. On the trunk, there were ancient inscriptions similar to the symbols she had found in the cave. Her paws touched the bark, and a sensation of warmth and connection coursed through her body. It was as if the tree recognized her presence and purpose. As she explored around the tree, she found a small niche in the roots, hiding an ancient altar. In the center, there was a receptacle perfectly shaped for the crystal she carried. Without hesitation, Lyra placed the crystal in the receptacle, and the tree began to glow with a soft, pulsing light. Suddenly, the forest around her lit up, revealing ethereal figures emerging from the shadows. They were the guardian spirits, summoned by the activation of the crystal. Lyra knew she was standing before something significant, a revelation that could change everything she knew about herself. With the crystal pulsing in its place, Lyra watched as the guardian spirits materialized around the ancient tree. Their forms were ethereal, radiating a soft, shimmering light. Each guardian seemed to carry centuries of wisdom and secrets. One of them, with deep and serene eyes, approached Lyra. "You, Lyra, are the key to the balance between the world of humans and that of wolves," said the guardian. "Your birth was predestined. In the depths of this enchanted lake, an ancient pact between the two worlds was sealed, and you are the missing link." Lyra felt the weight of these words. Her quest for identity was now much greater than she had imagined. The guardian continued, "The crystal you found is a fragment of an ancient gem of power. Each piece scattered throughout the forest contains a part of the truth about your origins." With this revelation, Lyra understood that her journey was far from over. She needed to find the other pieces of the gem to fully uncover her story and perhaps restore the balance between the two worlds. The spirits guided her to a map carved into the base of the tree, showing the locations of the remaining fragments. "Use this map wisely," advised the guardian. "Each fragment is protected by trials that will challenge your courage, wisdom, and heart." Lyra looked at the map, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The first location seemed to be deep within a nearby mountain, a place known for harboring unspeakable dangers. Without hesitation, she bid farewell to the spirits and set off toward her new destination, knowing that each step brought her closer to the truth. Following the map, Lyra traversed the forest toward the mountains. The trek was arduous and the terrain increasingly steep. The proximity of the mountains brought a cold air and a sense of isolation, but also a renewed focus on her mission. Upon reaching the base of the mountain, Lyra found the entrance to a cave hidden by dense shrubs. She felt a shiver run through her body as she entered, aware of the dangers she might encounter. Darkness enveloped everything, but her keen senses guided her through the winding corridors. In the heart of the mountain, the cave opened into a vast chamber illuminated by natural crystals that glowed with an ethereal light. In the center, on a stone pedestal, rested a fragment of the ancient gem that Lyra sought. However, as she approached, she realized she was not alone. A guardian creature, a mythical beast with shimmering scales and fiery eyes, emerged from the shadows. The guardian of the gem was there to test Lyra's courage and determination. With a roar that made the walls tremble, the creature advanced. Without hesitation, Lyra prepared for battle. She used her wolf agility and human cunning to dodge the creature's fierce attacks. It was a dance of life and death, each movement calculated. She remembered the spirit's words, that each fragment was protected by a trial. In a moment of bravery, Lyra managed to dodge a powerful blow and leap over the creature, reaching the pedestal. Her hand touched the fragment, and immediately, a powerful energy enveloped her. The guardian hesitated, recognizing the power of the gem in her hands, and retreated. Lyra held the fragment firmly, and with one last look at the creature, exited the cave, feeling closer to her origins and her purpose. The journey was not yet over, but she was one step closer to the truth. Back in the forest clearing, under the silvery light of the full moon, Lyra contemplated the newly acquired fragment. The gem glowed intensely in her hand, as if reacting to the proximity of the ancient tree. She knew the next step would be crucial in her quest for identity. As she approached the tree once more, the guardian spirits appeared, more ethereal and majestic than before. One of them, the oldest, spoke. "You are close, Lyra. The truth is within your reach. This fragment is just a part of your destiny." Carefully, Lyra placed the newly acquired fragment into the niche beside the first crystal. An intense light enveloped the tree, and the ancient inscriptions began to glow, revealing new information. The tree seemed to whisper long-hidden secrets. Then a vision overwhelmed Lyra. She saw a distant past where humans and wolves coexisted in harmony, united by a sacred pact. She saw her parents, noble figures who sacrificed themselves to protect this pact. She understood that her hybrid form was not a mistake, but a fusion of two powerful essences, destined to restore balance between the two worlds. The vision also showed the danger her existence posed to those who feared the union of the worlds. Powerful groups conspired to keep the two worlds separate, seeing their union as a threat to their control. Lyra's mission was not just about self-discovery, but about preventing these groups from destroying the natural balance. As the vision faded, Lyra felt a new strength within her. She knew she needed to find the last fragment of the gem and complete her destiny. But she also knew the journey there would be the most dangerous of all. The guardian spirits offered her their blessings, reaffirming that she was not alone. Armed with courage and determination, Lyra set off toward the final destination, where the last fragment awaited her arrival. Preparing to face the final challenges, Lyra knew she was closer than ever to fully understanding who she was and what her purpose was. The future of the balance between worlds was in her hands, and she was ready to fight for it. With renewed courage and the vision of her parents etched in her mind, Lyra set out toward her final destination. The journey was exhausting, traversing dangerous terrains and facing the challenges of nature, but nothing could shake her determination. She arrived at the entrance of an ancient ruin, where the last fragment of the gem was hidden. The place was imbued with a powerful and mysterious energy. She knew that here she would face her greatest challenge. In the center of the ruin, she found an altar with the final fragment, but as she reached for it, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was one of the leaders of the groups conspiring to keep the worlds apart, determined to stop Lyra from completing her mission. An epic battle ensued. Lyra, with her agility and strength of spirit, faced her adversary with everything she had. The clash was fierce, each blow resonating with the weight of their destinies. In the decisive moment, Lyra remembered the words of the spirits and the sacrifices of her parents. With a final effort, she managed to disarm her opponent and seize the fragment. Upon uniting the three fragments, an intense light enveloped the ruin. The complete gem shone, and the truth about her birth and purpose was finally revealed. She was the guardian of the balance between the worlds, destined to unite what had been separated. The conspiring groups were dismantled, and Lyra, with the power of the gem, restored harmony between humans and wolves. Her hybrid form became a symbol of unity and strength, and her story was told for generations. Lyra, now recognized as a guardian, continued to protect the balance, knowing that her journey, though concluded, was just the beginning of a new era of peace and cooperation between the worlds. And so, the wolf born from the mysterious waters of the lake found her place in the world, not as a sin, but as a living legend that inspired courage and unity.